Hey, good morning. We are in day 5 of our series called Cave People, and we're just kind of moving chronologically along. So we're going to 1 Kings now, and we're going to look at a portion of Scripture in chapter 18 where Ahab and Jezebel were just wreaking havoc, seeking to kill all the prophets of the Lord. And along comes this solitary character named Obadiah. Let me pick up reading 1 Kings 18. And let's go to verse 3. Verse 2. So Elijah, this is Elijah the prophet, he went to present himself to Ahab. Elijah had been hiding out from Ahab for 3 years while there was a famine in the land. Now the famine was severe in Samaria, and Ahab had summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of his palace. Now let that sink in. So Ahab is the king of Israel, Jezebel is his wife, and Obadiah is in charge of the palace. So Obadiah is living the high life. He has a good, comfy life, okay? He has a lot to lose, much more so than the average Israelite. So keep that in mind. Let me pick up reading. And Ahab, who had summoned Obadiah, who was in charge of his palace, and then it says, Obadiah, however, was a devout believer in the Lord. While Jezebel was killing off the Lord's prophets, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden each of them in 2 caves. Here's our cave life. 50 in each, and had supplied them with food and water. Ahab had said to Obadiah, "Go through the land to all the springs and valleys. Maybe we can find some grass to keep the horses and mules alive, so we will not have to kill any of our animals." So they divided the land that they were to cover, and Ahab going in one direction and Obadiah in another. Verse 7. As Obadiah was walking along, Elijah met him. Obadiah recognized him, bowed down to the ground, and said, "Is it really you, my lord Elijah?" "Yes," he replied. "Go tell your master," meaning Ahab, "Elijah is here." So Obadiah goes on to say, "I can't go tell Ahab that you're here." He says, "Listen, if I tell him you're here and Ahab comes back here and you're not here, he will kill me. He's killing people left and right to try to find you." Ahab wanted to kill Elijah the prophet because God, through Elijah the prophet, had brought the famine on the land. Now, here's the deal. Picture this. Obadiah is the main manager of the palace for King Ahab, but he is secretly hiding the prophets of the Lord that Jezebel and Ahab were seeking to kill. This man is risking everything. He's risking his nice, comfortable lifestyle. He's risking his own life in his devotion to God. So he explains this to Elijah. And so Elijah assures him, he says, no, I will stay. You go get Ahab, you bring him here, and I'll stay. Now, the main point that I want us to see is this, that sometimes it's in the caves of life that our courage and our devotion to God are given opportunities to surface. We may have great devotion to God, but opportunity and circumstance doesn't really allow it to surface. But it's in this case where Obadiah, at the risk of his life, the risk of his family, we don't know much about his family, he is sheltering, he is feeding, he is giving water and safety to God's prophets, to God's people, at the risk of his own life. And so often we try to live our life in ways to avoid uncomfortable circumstances, to avoid danger, to avoid conflict. This could have brought him into tremendous conflict with Ahab and Jezebel, but it was also something that catalyzed and surfaced his degree of devotion to God and his courage in his devotion to God and his selflessness in that devotion. Could be that you're in one of life's caves today, or you're hiding others in a cave that might be making you take some risks that could be very costly to you. Could be that you're sticking up for somebody just like Obadiah did. Could be that you're putting your neck out for somebody that's in dire danger and helpless to do anything about it, just like Obadiah did. And maybe you're doing it because of your loyalty to Christ. These cave situations are often used by God to surface our character, to surface our commitment, to surface our courage and our devotion. and they further the cause of God, and they bring blessing to the lives of others who would be greatly injured if we didn't step into the gap to take up for them. There's times in life to mind our own business. There's times in life where we've got to stand up for those that are in desperate need and cannot stand up for themselves. Obadiah gives us a great example through his devotion to those that were forced to hide in caves just to live a little bit longer and serve God a little bit longer. So I hope this will give you some thoughts and some insight. Don't know what your circumstance might be this week. Thank you.